Welcome back. This is activity 3.6, applying the triangle sum theorem. Let's get started. You have learned about the triangle sum theorem, which states that the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. You can use that information to write equations and solve for the unknown value. Determine the measure of each unknown angle. Now, in this activity is where geometry meets algebra. So we're not just talking about vocabulary words, we are solving. So if you look, preview, you've got number one, we've got triangle ABC and those interior angles. And if you don't know what an interior angle is, I'm going to circle it. This is an interior angle. This is an interior angle, which is 37. This is an interior angle. That is what we are solving for, the measurements of those unknown angles A, B, and C. Well, C we know, so A and B. Alrighty, keep previewing to see what you're going to be solving for, because I'm going to show you an example of how you would solve using what we know about the triangle sum theorem and what we know about solving equations. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So be prepared to copy. We're going to go over one example together, and then 2, 3, and 4, you're going to do on your own or with a neighbor or your group. Alrighty, we're getting started. So, as we know, a triangle, the measure of the interior angles is 180 degrees total. So, I know that this angle A, 3x minus 5, plus angle B, 2x plus 13, plus angle C, 37, should be equal to 180 degrees. Alrighty, there is our equation. Now we have to solve for x. And when we solve for x, we're then going to plug it back into those expressions inside those interior angles to find out what the measure of angle A and angle B is. So let's go ahead and combine like terms. I've got a 3x here. I've got 2x's here. I know that gives me 5x's. And normally you want to take this step by step, but I can color code this so I can keep my work organized, and I want to show you quicker how you would solve this to get your answer. So I also need to combine my regular numbers. So I've got a negative 5 here, I've got a positive 13, and I've got a positive 37. If I combine all of those together, I'm going to add my two larger numbers first and then subtract 5. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 3, 4, that gives me 50. And then I take away 5, I know that gives me 45. So a positive 45 is equal to 180. That stays the same. Now I have a basic two-step equation here. First thing I'm going to do is subtract 45 from both sides. I'm left with 5x is equal to 135. And then my last and final step would be to divide both sides by 5. 5x's divided by 5 gives me 1x is equal to 27. So 27 is the measurement of x, but is that our final answer? No, it is not, because we still have to plug that x back in to those expressions to find angle A and B. So let's go ahead and do that so that you can see what that'll look like. Use blue. So for angle A, let's start with A. 3x, angle A is equal to angle A is equal to 3 times x. I know that x is 27 now, minus 5. And I'm going to go ahead and solve. I've already got this solved, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. But just know that you will have to do all of this by hand because when you take your STAR test, you will not have a calculator. So 3 times 7 gives us, or 27 gives us 81. Take away 5. I know the measure of angle A is equal to 76 degrees. And that is my final answer for A, but I still have one more angle to go. The measure of angle B is equal to 2 times x, which we know is 27, plus 13. Measure of angle B, 2 times 27 gives us 54, plus 13. So I know the measure of angle B is equal to 67 degrees. And there is our final answer for angle B. So now we've got all three measurements. We've got angle A, angle B, and I know angle C is 37. Now think about this. What is one way we can check our work to make sure that we are correct? How do you think we can check our work? If you said add all of those up and see if it equals 180, you are absolutely correct. So let's add them up. We've got 76 plus 67 plus a 37. Those are all of my interior angles. They should equal 180. So let's add 7 and 7 is 14 plus 6 gives us 20. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plus 6 more gives us 18. And there we have it, 180. So I know that my answers are correct. Alrighty, if you don't have this down, go ahead and get this down because you need this as an example to help you for 2, 3, and 4. Remember, all I did was I added all of my interior angles, 3x minus 5 plus 2x plus 13 plus 37, and that gave me 180 because I know all of those angles equal 180 according to the triangle sum theorem. Then I solved for x and I plugged those x's back into the expressions. And then the last thing I did was I checked my work because I wanted to make sure that the angles that I got were actually equal to 180 degrees. Alrighty, I am moving on. At this time, you're going to complete question number 2, question number 3, or problem 2, problem 3, and problem 4, solving for each of those angles. So angle KJL in number 4, solving for angles QRP, and then for number 2, solving for angles D and F because E is a known angle. It is a square, so that is a what type of angle? A 90-degree angle. So we know that is 90 degrees that we're going to be putting in our equation to equal 180. Alrighty, I'm actually going to leave the screen here. Well, let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to leave it here so that you can see my example as you work on your first problem on your own. All right, set your timer for about 15 minutes of work time. And if you need a little bit more, then that is okay. But about 15 minutes at least to work on questions 2, 3, and 4. Be sure to show all of your work and really put the effort in with trying to solve because we've got our STAR test coming up real soon and it's imperative that we get this practice in. Alrighty, 15 minutes on the clock. Pause here. Alrighty, now that you've had time to work, let's go ahead and check your work, comparing your work, not just your answers, but comparing your work to my work. For number 2 at least. All right, for number 2, for angle D, you should have gotten 50 degrees. For angle F, you should have gotten 40 degrees, and x was equal to 8. Go ahead and take a second and compare your work. Alrighty, moving on to number 3. Compare your equation to mine. You should have gotten 45 minus x plus 2x plus 5 plus 8x minus 14 is equal to 180. And now you could have also just put those in any order as long as you've got those same exact terms in that equation. For angle Q, I got 29. For angle R, you should have gotten 114. And for angle P, you should have gotten 37. I added mine up to check and make sure, and they did in fact add up to 180 degrees. So I know those are correct. Alrighty. And lastly, question number 4. And for question number 4, go ahead and check your work. For angle K, you should have gotten, well, first, excuse me, let me back up. X, you should have gotten x is equal to 15 when you added all of the interior angles and solved for x. When you plug that x back into those expressions, angle K is equal to 79, angle J is equal to 71, and angle L is equal to 30. And then I went another step and I checked my work. 79 plus 71 plus 30 should equal 180, and it did, so I know that my measurements are correct. Alrighty, if you need to go ahead and take a second to make some corrections, do that now. But if, never mind, I was going to say if there are no questions, I can't take your questions. At this time, this concludes the learning for this video. I will see you in the next one.